Okay, so you've decided to go into ceremony with plant medicine. What do you do? Sometimes folks get anxious, sometimes folks are scared, sometimes folks are excited. What do you do and how do you have the best experience when in ceremony with plant medicine? If you're curious about this topic, stay tuned and we'll chat more about it. Hey, how's it going? My name is Eric, and I like to call myself the modern mystic. And as always, I am always here to help you find and discover freedom and abundance in all things, whether it's in life and finance and stuff and spirituality and just life. I just love helping folks and myself go through this journey of self-development, this eternal journey. You might have seen my previous videos on things of how to prepare for a ceremony or what to get set up for, or even my story about ceremony. And you're probably at this point now, you're like, okay, I think I've decided to go in the ceremony, or I'm about to go in the ceremony. What should I expect? And how do I have the best experience? And if there's anything that I've learned from my experience when working with her, and again, I refer to her because all the plant medicines that I typically work with when I facilitate or go under my own plant medicine journey typically is this beautiful feminine spirit, this beautiful feminine goddess energy. What I found is that she has told me that go in with no expectation. I think that is, you go in with a child's heart, you go in with this childlike state of play, and typically that would lead to the best experience. Going in with no expectation is honestly, in my opinion, one of the best experiences ever. There's a lot of folks out there, there's a lot of media, there's a lot of content out there that kind of like over story tells the experience of psychedelics, seeing like pink elephants and like dreams of Janis Joplin coming down from the sky, or Lenny Kravitz coming and shaking your hand and all these things. And while they could happen, that kind of sets almost like an unrealistic expectation of what to expect inside of a plant medicine ceremony. Typically what I found in the journeys I've done, whether it's with a psilocybin or DMT or cacao or any of those things, is that plant medicine will amplify the beauty of your current experience. Whether it's with colors or geometric patterns or just your beautiful interconnectedness with one another, the feeling of being loved, right? Unless you're taking some crazy dosages, you're not gonna be seeing pink elephants coming out of the sky and you're not gonna be like mentally shattered. But again, like everyone's experience is different. And I just want to preface this, like I am not a doctor, I am not a medical professional. I run a tax and accounting practice. Like this is just a passion of mine that I love talking about, but I am not a doctor. So make sure before considering utilizing plant medicine to go see your doctor and to get their honest opinion if this is right for you. It might not be right for everybody. If you're not in the right mental state, it might not be for you, right? So don't think that like because everyone's talking about that, like you got to do it. So anyway, when you're in plant medicine ceremony, okay, now you've decided to do it, you've set your intention, you've had the diet before, and now you're in ceremony. What I normally recommend doing is going with no expectation and allow the things to come up and be in full presence to it. I think that's probably the number one is have no expectation. Number two is enjoy the full presence of the experience. As things come up, as things may come into your mind, as things might come into your visual state, be fully present. Try not to distract yourself. I would completely avoid utilizing any type of technology like phones or laptops and stuff like that when under plant medicine ceremony, because all of that will pull you away from the experience. The whole idea of utilizing plant medicine and using her as a guide, and again, I always refer to plant medicine as her because the ones that I typically work with have this beautiful feminine goddess energy. When you're working with her, like you want to be fully present to the experience. You want to be fully there. And typically folks that are utilizing their devices are being pulled away from the experience. And also if you're in a room with other folks, what I'd recommend doing is giving yourself some silence to be able to process and understand the experience on your own. You're there for you. You're not there for anybody else, unless you set the intention to help heal other people. But typically what I'd recommend doing is when you're in ceremony, go there with the intention for yourself. We oftentimes tend to be people who chase validation, who tend to chase approval, and by doing so, we tend to forget about ourselves. And when we go into plant medicine ceremony in groups, what ends up happening is we end up going to try to help other people. When we see them crying or laughing or expressing emotion, we tend to get distracted. So when in medicine ceremony, I highly recommend to give yourself the space to work on yourself. Sit in silence, go to a secluded corner and allow these things to come up, whether it's emotions or visuals or whatever, and be in full presence of that without distraction. I highly recommend that. By being in presence, what I mean is notice every subtle change in your body as it comes up. Notice every feeling. Notice how things might be changing in your visual acuity and enjoy and embrace that experience. We live in a hyper-distracted age where it's easy to get distracted and we kind of miss the little subtleties of life. And what I found is with plant medicine, it amplifies the experience and the subtleties of life, and it's there for you to enjoy and to allow to unfold in front of you. So I highly recommend that. Also, when in ceremony, what I'd recommend is utilizing other different modalities while you're in plant medicine ceremony, things like movement or dance. I absolutely love dance. When I facilitate plant medicine ceremonies for others, dance is a great way of allowing yourself to let energy move from you. Quite oftentimes, many of us have energy locked into joints or muscles in our body, and dance and movement allow you to let that go. What you'll often find too as well is plant medicine typically lowers your inhibitions or your state or sense of feeling judged. Now, again, you want to go with a pure intention, not to go into meet another person from the opposite sex or anything like that, but you want to go in with this intention of a childlike play and allow yourself to use dance, allow yourself to use motion to be able to process emotion. I do that all the time, and a lot of folks were taught that they're not safe to move or dance. You know, there's a lot of young women or women that go into ceremony when I facilitate that when they were kids, they were taught to be shameful of dancing, which is crazy because dancing is a natural thing. Also consider utilizing your voice, whether it's singing or humming or even toning, like ooh, like these things allow you to open up what we would consider to be your throat chakra. And I'm not a super woo-woo person, but a lot of folks, they have a closed throat chakra because they're not good at communicating what they want. They have this fear of communicating what they want and what they need. But allow yourself to tone and make noises to allow yourself to feel comfortable with opening up your throat, opening up your voice. Other things that many of us experience and enjoy doing during plant medicine ceremony is expressing yourself through art. I've seen a lot of folks bring watercolor paints or markers. I typically have a sketch pad and a big Post-it note and Sharpie markers, and I just love sketching when I'm in plant medicine. Again, these are all different tools that you can utilize in ceremony to allow you to have the most impactful experience. Sometimes folks typically journal or write or do free writing as you're in ceremony, because these things, you know, the plant medicine, she typically allows you to process this stuff. When you're in plant medicine ceremony, I think it's really important to not have an expectation of what to experience, but go in with this novelty, this childlike heart of like exploration and play and full presence. And if you do that, I can almost guarantee that you're gonna have a wonderful, wonderful experience. Most of the time when folks are in plant medicine and they say that they've had a bad experience or what we call a bad trip, it's usually because they're trying to resist the process. They're trying to resist and not be present. And so she is trying to mash into your head what you need to work upon. As opposed to if you don't go in with resistance and instead you choose to surrender to the process, surrender to the experience, and take whatever you experience with novelty and a childlike heart, typically those are the ones that have the most beautiful experiences. So just consider some of these things, some of these modalities. And again, like I would love to hear from you if you've gone through ceremony, whether it's on your own or in a group. What tools or things have you done to give yourself the best experience? Now, some folks like hiking in nature when they're under medicine. Some folks like being inside of a house when they're under medicine. Like everyone is different. I would love to hear from you of what you've done and what you really enjoy doing. Now, I make videos here once a week. I mostly make stuff and topics on finance and money and abundance, which is absolutely fantastic. But as you can clearly see, one of my passions is with plant medicine and with mushroom and cacao and DMT and all that stuff. It's been an instrumental part of why I've been able to grow so rapidly and develop so rapidly as a person. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I would love to hear more from you and see you around. And with that said, I'll see you again soon. Take care.